Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Kris West. On today's show, we have the world-famous Chet Zar. Chet Zar is a fine artist, a sculptor, an all-around awesome human being. He's also done a lot of work in the movie industry with movies like Hellboy. He's also done some of your favorite Tool posters. We're super lucky to have him on the show. Make sure you go to rockabilia.com to get all your official band merch needs fulfilled. Use code Spiral Out at the checkout to get 10% off your order, and follow me on all the social medias and whatnot. You're in for a great show. Thank you for listening, and Spiral Out.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Kris West, and today we have a huge guest, the famous Chet Zar. How you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, my friend.
Anytime.
So, Chet, if you listen to this podcast, you're most likely somewhat into Tool. You had to have heard this gentleman's name, Chet Zar, at some point in time.
Maybe a couple times.
And again, if you listen to this show, I like to get the Tool stuff out of the way because Chet Zar has a huge career aside from the things he's done with Tool, but love to touch on there because it's cool shit. So first of all, again, how'd you get started with working with Adam and Tool and stuff like that? What were your first projects?
Well, I met Adam in probably, it must have been the early 90s, because we were both working in effects and the makeup effects business.
Is it the now Legacy Effects place?
No, this was, I think he was either between jobs or before. No, it was after Legacy. I don't know, but he was kind of, people in effects generally bounce around to different shops whenever, film projects only last a certain amount of time. And then unless you're like a permanent lifer at a shop, which there's only a small handful of those, you go to another shop when the film ends, unless they have another project they keep you on for. Anyway, he came over and I think he was working on Swamp Thing, the TV series, the cable
the
series
old one
from the 90s. There was a cable series.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, it was something. So he was working on that. And I don't know if I was working on Darkman or I don't remember, man. That's all a blur. It was so long ago. But anyway, we met, and I think we met we were talking about music. I think that's kind of how we met. Because we had similar tastes in music, and he liked weird music, and I liked weird music. So,
what do you consider weird music?
Well, I mean, especially back in the early 90s, I don't know, like Butthole Surfers and like whatever was the underground music of the time.
Mr. Bungle in there.
Yeah, Mr. Bungle, that type of stuff. Minutemen, Dead Kennedys, punk stuff. So, in fact, it's funny because he's the first time I ever heard the word grunge was from Adam.
Really?
Yeah. Before it was in the mainstream, it was like, he was telling me, and he's the first person to ever tell me about Nirvana. Like before Nirvana was a thing at all, like I'd never heard of them. And I was pretty keyed into what was going on, but he was like really keyed into what was going on. And he's like, man, my favorite new band is this band Nirvana. They're super grungy. And I was like, whoa, okay, cool. And then it's like the next thing I know, it was like they're the biggest band in the world. But he's like that. He's turned me on to some of my favorite artists as well, like visual artists. He turned me on to Beksinski before I'd ever seen Beksinski. And he's just like got an eye and an ear for great art, But anyway, so go ahead.
I think that translates into how they do their posters nowadays, right?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Everything artistic about them is tops. But so we became friends. He was starting a band. I was trying to start a band. We jammed once. He was playing bass, I think. I was playing guitar. Yeah. And just for fun. We just jammed for fun once. And then he left the business. He was, his stint at the shop was over. He left, and then I don't know how much longer, 6 months or something, a year later, all of a sudden he's on the radio, and I was like, oh shit. That's his band.
Wild.
Tool just blew up, and we stayed in touch. He called me to work on the Stinkfist video to do kind of some fill-in stuff. They had shot the whole video, I think, and they were doing pickup shots, like extra shots that they didn't get in the first.
Some B-roll stuff or whatnot.
Yeah, just like they're called pickups in the film industry, where it's like, oh, we didn't get this shot of a hand coming down and picking up the fork or whatever. You know what I mean? So I came in and I helped Cam DeLeon with some body painting. Like I kind of assisted him on that. I did some prosthetic work. I glued some, I don't know, like eyelids on. What else did I do on that? Just like whatever. Oh, and then I made that back. At the very end of the Stinkfist video, there's that weird tumory back with the little.
Yeah.
So I sculpted that. That was kind of like, I guess they needed a little something and they needed it fast. So that was the first thing. I did that. And then they asked me to come on set and kind of help apply stuff. And then, yeah. And then after that, I was around that time, I was getting into 3D animation as well and making my own little looped animations, which seem quaint now because since looping is like whatever, everybody loops animations in social media. But at the time it was like, I don't know, I felt like it was revolutionary, sort of these little videos that just had no beginning and end. And they were dark and surreal and weird.
You had the one that like the tongue came out and like the meat robot guy and
yeah. So I was doing those on my own just as an art project. And then he asked me to use this one I did called Toilet Training, where it's kind of got these toilet stalls and this is based on a mushroom trip I had. So they started using that. And eventually I did the makeup effects for the Anima video and the Schism video. I headed up the effects crew for that.
So you're just planning out everything in those music videos.
What's that?
You're just and those the two next music videos, the Schism and what was the other one you said?
Anima.
Yeah. You're the head of effects in that.
Yeah. That was like I hired a little crew and we did the work. Schism was really big. There was big for an independent little thing like music video where it was like 10 or 20 people on the crew, on our effects crew or something. It got crazy. There was a lot of stuff. And then they hired me to do some 3D animation stuff, and which still pops up in the live shows for their projection. I'm sorry, I should have clarified that initial 3D animation I did. He asked if they could use it in their live shows.
Yeah.
The one with the toilet stalls and the trip one. And so, and they still use a lot of that stuff to this day.
Yeah, I see it often.
Yeah.
I've seen them a bunch of times, but I see your stuff up there from time to time. You know, I obviously use a lot of Alex Gray stuff, but they still use you, and I don't know if they use Cam anymore. We won't go into that, but
I don't. Not that I kind of doubt it, but maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. I'm kind of curious on what it takes to. Again, I haven't talked to anybody who worked on a music video. So can you tell me like when it started with the concept to execution, like what was talked about? What did you do? How did you use your creativeness to get that thing where it needed to be?
I also did the Parabola video too.
That's my favorite music video of all time, by the way. Just FYI.
Man. Cool. We made that puppet.
Yeah.
It was a silicone puppet. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was the first ever 3D sculpted. Like I sculpted it in 3D and we had it 3D printed. And this is when nobody was 3D printing. It was like early days of 3D printing. So it was very.
It's like 2002? 2001?
Yeah. So it's like 3D printing was barely a thing. You had to go to a place that did it, and it was expensive.
And weren't the machines like super huge back in the day?
Yeah.
My buddy's dad's got one in his garage, and one day I came in and I was like, what is this gigantic fucking thing that's been in your garage for years? He's like, oh, it's an old 3D printer. What the fuck? Like it looks like a dumpster, like a huge dumpster.
I remember going to see those things. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it looks like. They're huge. But anyway, it was the Tool video stuff was always very like cutting edge. Like the Anima video we made silicone puppets. And prior to that, I'd never heard of anyone making silicone puppets prior, to the 90s. Puppets were usually made almost exclusively either clay or foam latex, which is like, what prosthetic appliances used to be made out of. And but Adam wanted these sets to actually fill up with water. So the puppets had to be waterproof. So silicone is waterproof. So we kind of figured out how to make silicone puppets, and then they looked so good because silicone is translucent. It bends better. The folds and stuff are better than foam. Foam looks kind of crinkly, and silicone bends naturally. So we pioneered that. And then in the Parabola video, we made the puppet also in silicone, and it was really big though. It was like, I don't know. It was, I have one. I have a cast on my wall over there. It's like, I don't know, 18 inches tall or something. And usually stop motion puppets are pretty small because the weight will make them like want to bend over and stuff. But he wanted to do these. Yeah.
The guy with the face is the one you're talking about.
Yeah. The guy with the face going in and out.
Yeah. I love that.
So
guy.
Yeah, that was modeled it was Adam's design, as with most of the stuff in the videos. Adam, he's a really good artist as well, and drafts person. So it's like he had all these. He usually has designs. He has a concept, and he is like, okay, can you make this in 3D? Here's the design I made, and it's like a little kind of thumbnail, and then I'll kind of flesh that out. That's how it generally worked. He's always had a very clear vision for the videos. Every once in a while he would throw me a bone and be like, I don't have an idea for this character, so can you just come up with something? And so like for the secondary character in the Anima video, I don't know if you remember, there's like 2 characters. And
I remember the music video very well.
Okay, there's the main character, and then there's that secondary one with like no eyes and kind of like a weird face. And so that was my design. And but of course it's very much back and forth. Adam wanted me to make a coat for it that looked like a kind of Beksinski vibe with this folded cloth, but I don't think they ever shot the coat. We made like a separate little silicone coat to dress it up in. And anyway, so yeah, it was very much we just, he's one of artists click with the other certain artists. It's not like every artist clicks, but Adam and I think it's because we have such a similar aesthetic and appreciation. And we both come from the effects industry, and we both like monster movies and, all this similar type of stuff. And I don't know, we just have a similar sensibility. So we've always been like, collaborating with him was super fun, creatively. It's just like, it's just really fun when you click with someone who
gets you.
Yeah.
And you get them.
Yeah. And him and I have that relationship for sure.
I'm going to ask one more question about Tool music videos, just because I've always wanted to know.
Sure.
What the hell were those dudes doing in the beginning of the Parabola video? They cut the apple, get in a circle, they're floating. What's going on there? Well, do you remember what the original thought was behind that?
I don't know that.
Can you, if you were allowed to?
I don't know that there was, I don't know what it was. They were referred to as the businessmen. I know that much.
Yeah.
But it wasn't explicit in the script. So it would be storyboards. And it's not like he's telling the meaning of what's in there. He's like, this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. And you just film that. And so I don't know what his meaning was for that. I don't know. It never came up.
It's always been a thing in my brain. Again, I think Parabola's arguably my favorite song of all time. So that part of it is, I saw that music video randomly when I was a child, and it was one of those moments where you're like, wait, things can be like this? I don't know if you ever had those moments where you're just like, wait a second, this exists?
Yeah.
And it's doing something, it's speaking to you in some way.
Yeah. The first videos were like that for me. The first Tool videos, the early ones, were like, wow, this is really kind of amazing that you can do this with a music video.
I don't know if I should say this, but ironically, you mentioned Nirvana earlier. I have seen this interview with Kurt Cobain where he was like a little upset with Tool for their like original music video, because it resembled an artist that he liked. I don't know. That was funny.
Yeah.
nonetheless.
I don't know if they're friends or not. I
Yeah.
don't know if you know.
Yeah, I mean, so anyways, yeah, super cool stuff, man. So did you have to sculpt the businessmen, the
Yeah.
faces?
Yeah. Sculpted just basically masks, like it would be like a Halloween mask, but we made them in silicone rather than latex like a regular mask is made, so that it's transparent, translucent, and looks more fleshy and realistic, and made some gloves that, I think those were silicone as well. Yeah.
What about that dope ass tree?
Yeah, we didn't make the tree. I don't know who made the tree. That was like, that would be the prop department maybe or something. That's sometimes in effects you'll be called to do something like that if it's really specific, but generally it's like things like trees and rocks and stuff like that would be made by set people, set designers or art directors. I'm not really sure the hierarchy of that, but that wasn't quite in our.
Those businessmen always reminded me of your character. Was it the Chamberlain? The Chamberlain in,
Yeah.
in Hellboy?
I never thought about that. That's funny. I never thought about that.
I was like, oh, there's got to be the same species of dudes.
Yeah. Well, the businessmen were based on an Adam drawing. Like he gave me this little, I think like a Post-it note of this guy and real cool design, but it was more like if I remember correctly, it's kind of like more like the head comes out forward. But yeah, I never thought about that. But the Chamberlain was like more of like a long, tall headed guy with his eyes are up here,
Similar eyeballs, I think.
Yeah. That's funny.
So you do some music videos, you help them with some 3D stuff for their live show, which again, all these things are what made Tool back in the day, like this mysteriously cool band. And you are one of the persons that helped shape that. Next thing when it comes to them is posters.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of cool posters for them. I think like 5 or 6 of them or something like that.
I think it's 5.
Yeah.
I think it's 5. Yeah. That just kind of like happened on a whim. I saw Adam before the posters were a huge thing, or, that's not true. I think the poster thing happened around COVID, right?
Isn't that when they where it really started getting big? Because they've always done stuff, but it seemed that Adam was kind of doing all of it back in the day.
Yeah.
With the like bugs and the fish and shit like that. And then another company did them for a while. That they were okay.
Yeah.
And then like 2019, they started with the different artist every day, 18 by 24, and which is such your first
cool
one was.
Idea. I don't remember. Oh yeah, LA. It was LA 2019. That's right. I think it was.
I got it right here. Give me 1 second. It's the purple melty face guy.
That wasn't the first one, was it? I thought. Oh, maybe it was. There was that. The LA one was the most popular one I did. It was called the Medium.
I got that one. It's up.
Cool. Oh, yeah. Nice. Is it signed?
No. I'm not that rich.
Okay.
I was at the show though. I went to those 2 nights.
Cool.
Because you and another guy did those 2 nights.
Your camera's kind of off center there.
There we go.
There you go. But the way it came about was I hadn't seen Adam for years, and I went to the LA Art Show, which is a big art convention where a bunch of galleries show. They do it every year in downtown LA at the convention center, and the galleries have a bunch of booths, and it's really a cool place to see, new art that's coming out and stuff. And he was there, and we were talking for a while, just catching up, saying hi. And we were like, okay, talk to you later. Good seeing you. And he walked away, and then he was like, it was like he walked away, and then he
remembered.
He turned around and he was like, would you be interested in doing a poster for one of our gig posters? And I was like, yeah, man, I would love to. And he's like, he was being very respectful. He was like, I know you're your own fine artist now. I know you know what I mean? Because it's like I always used to bitch about being in the film industry where I was working on other people's projects and I wanted to have my own vision and stuff. Sure. So that's why I got into fine art, to do my own work. So he was very like, I don't know if if you'd want to do it, but since you're doing your own stuff. And I was like, no, I'd love to do it. That's exactly why I got out of the business, to be able to take on to do cool projects that I am into. And I would totally be into doing a poster for you guys. And then it just went from there.
I obviously collect posters. It's kind of how this started for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was always a Tool fan. And then somewhere, like I said, around COVID, it kind of just exploded.
Yeah.
From what I have seen, I'm somewhat connected to that community. The fans can be a little much. They can be.
That's
They
what
can
they say.
be. That's what they say. I'm curious on how the fan reception has been with you. What it's like been dealing with Tool fans in that environment, or just in general. You know, you are a name that is associated with Tool from as long as I could remember. When I got into Tool during Lateralis days, and I had a friend who was an artist, he was like, "Oh, you got to check out Chet Zar. You got to check out Cam De Leon. Have you ever heard of Alex Gray? Have you ever heard of such and such, yada, yada, yada." But your name was always in the conversation. So I'm just curious on what it's been like around fans and the reception of you in that area.
It's been amazing. Like I always get love from fans and Tool fans and fans of my work. I remember when I first got online in like 2002 or something, and I was like, okay, I got to brace myself. So people are just going to give me shit, because it was like trolling was starting to, people were already doing that even back then, like talking shit online and stuff about people. And I remember it's like 2004. I don't know. It was when I first got online and started promoting my work as an artist. As you know, stuff like that always will happen, but it wasn't like I've always really been appreciative and kind of surprised at how much love and appreciation I get, from fans. It's pretty rare when someone just talks shit about me or says anything that's just, cruel for the sake of cruelty. So it's been amazing. I mean, I'm friends. I've become friends with a lot of my fans. They're just cool people that, part of it, we love this kind of art. So I guess that's a commonality right there.
Sure. I think we have a mutual friend in that Myron.
Oh yeah, Myron's awesome.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He's a super cool guy.
He lives here in Vegas where I live.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I'll tell him hi next time you see him. I miss him.
Yeah, I think I'll probably see him tomorrow. The Poosfer's playing here in Vegas tomorrow.
Cool.
So yeah, have you ever had any crazy interactions with fans without any names?
Definitely.
I mean, I love to hear it.
Well, I don't know.
Well, the way that I usually ask it is like, what's the oddest request that you've gotten? Because you do some remarks, I have another one of your posters in another room, and you were kind enough to do a little spiral for me and for Spiral Out back in the day.
Oh yeah, didn't we meet before? Did we meet in person before? Because you look familiar.
I do a lot of porn. I have that one in the chamber because I think about 3 times a week I get the like, you look real familiar.
That's funny. Funny. I just was like, because a lot of times people will come if I have an art show. People will show up with, or not a lot of times, but occasionally people will show up with a Tool poster and ask me to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, did I see him at one of the shows where he came with, he knows Myron? So I just thought maybe.
I don't go to those things unless I'm fully invited usually. And I live in Vegas, so.
Yeah. That's a drive. It's like 3.5, 4 hours or whatever. But the crazy. I know the crazy remarks. Yeah. I mean, I've done a Jason. Speaking of, I got some Jason little studies I painted here, trying to sell those if anybody wants one. I did a Jason mask. I did a Rick and Morty.
I haven't seen the Rick and Morty.
I did. I mean, so.
Yeah.
Simpsons, Aliens.
Anything completely off the wall where you're like, all right, something that sticks out.
I'm trying to, there was a Devil's Rejects one, I think, or there was a Boba Fett. That was pretty wild, or like a Boba Fett helmet completely covering the face. Yeah, all kinds of weird stuff. The Baby Yoda one.
Is it fun for you to do those? Because some of your posters, especially, I think the 2 most recent ones, maybe. I apologize if I don't know the exact names of some of them.
How dare you? I'm
How
out of
dare
here.
I will leave. The Kansas City one where it's like the eyelid is like completely pulled.
Oh,
and
yeah,
there's like-
yeah.
I've seen some remarks you do on that, and again, every artist is different, right?
Mhm.
But again, I've seen some where you just do like these, like, again, they're figures that are distorted, and you
Mhm.
still find a way to bring it into like something like it'll be a distorted face, but you somehow fit a gas mask over it.
Yeah, I know. That's the challenge, especially when someone asks for something like that and it's a poster like it's not suited to a regular face shape. And so that's how art is, though. It's like art is like a puzzle and you have to figure out, how am I going to express this idea? That's part of the fun of it. So they're fun. Sometimes they're challenging. Yeah. I mean, I've got one I'm going to do, this week. I've got another one someone hit me up about doing of it with an owl, which is
Nice.
going to be super cool. So yeah, I enjoy doing them.
Wow, fantastic. So your art, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, lends itself to a lot of interpretation. And with Tool fans, there seems to be this. Everybody's always looking for the hidden meaning, right?
Mhm.
So, how often do you get people asking you different questions about these posters and like their meanings and whatnot? Because again, before we leave the Tool area, I do have a couple questions about some of the posters you made and like what was going on when you were making them, what were the ideas behind them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. With the posters, people haven't really asked me. They ask me about the meanings of my paintings usually.
Sure.
And a lot of times for the most part, it's an intuitive process for me where I just it's a weird, hard to explain process where you're just trying to make something that looks cool, that feels right when you're painting it. And you don't really think about or at least I don't really think about what it means. And after the fact, you go, oh, that's what it means. And it was like, it's sort of your subconscious comes out in a painting, I feel like, which is pretty cool. And, but once in a while, I'll have an idea, like for the poster of I forget which, was it Vancouver, the one with the guy going like this and the fire in the background.
Yeah.
Like that one was definitely, he's going like this and he's got his third eye is opening and everything's on fire in the background. And that was right after we had those huge fires.
That's right.
And it was after COVID and it was like everything just felt like it was on fire. And I mean, those fires were close to my house. It was like we were sweating it because you could see them right from my backyard. They got really close. And so that one was like, basically the idea of, it's called The Awakening. And it was sort of like, when shit really goes down is when oftentimes people will wake up spiritually because, when things are going well and easy and life is easy, you don't really have to address that side of your life or that side of reality. You're like the deeper issues, the spiritual issues, because everything's comfortable. There's no reason for it. But when shit gets crazy, people have to turn somewhere to cope with it. And a lot of times that will lead them to becoming more spiritual. Sometimes it will leave them the opposite way, becoming less spiritual and getting into weird cults and stuff like that. But
who doesn't love a weird cult?
yeah, right. But so that was the idea behind that one.
I really like that. I tend to have
Thanks.
the opposite effect with that. My trauma is so weird that like if there is chaos, I'm fine. I'm completely comfortable. It's when there's no chaos where I get super introspective and have like esoteric and weird. I forget the word off the top of my head, but when you're just like too much in your head and you question everything and you question reality, that's what happens to me when it's calm.
Yeah. You need the chaos in your life? Well, you should be enjoying yourself right now then.
Dude,
things are pretty chaotic.
It's nuts. When you brought up like, oh, back and when you made the fires and it was behind us, I was like, I immediately thought of like, well, I wonder what he's looking at ahead of him with that one eye. It didn't get any better.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm glad your house is great, but Everything else is still on fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Even worse, on fire. Yeah, it's crazy. And we got this crazy heat wave out here, which you have as well.
It's
I think it's like
nuts. People are just going to stop leaving their houses,
yeah.
and then they're going to go broke from air conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure your air conditioning bills are huge in Vegas.
It's nuts. So out of the Tool stuff,
Mhm.
again, you did the X amount of posters. LA one seems to be the one that everybody really wanted. Everybody likes your stuff in the community that I am. I haven't seen a Chet Zar poster. People didn't
Yeah,
jump over other
I've been
people.
lucky that way because some artists have not fared so well. You know, it's like some really great artists that I think are awesome. I know their poster didn't do that well with some of the fans. I've read some things, but I've been very fortunate that people have enjoyed my stuff.
Again, you have this like history with the band too. It's
Mm.
they really really respect you, and as do I.
Appreciate it.
Before we get off I see that you did a Primus poster too once.
I didn't wait. I didn't. I did. That was a commission for Vegas. Do you know Vegas Fugate?
I've heard that. I've heard.
Yeah, he commissioned me to do that painting that
Mm.
of the them as trolls. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he commissioned that, and then I also did I do these things called these are studies, these small paintings.
Yeah.
And they're
Myron has a bunch of them.
yeah, they're like practice, basically figuring out a painting in a small, quicker way for a larger painting.
Yeah.
And they're more affordable and stuff. But I did a study for that. I don't know, 11 by 14 study for the big Primus painting. And he gave that to them. He gave the winery that. So it's hanging at the winery, that little study in their tasting
Nice.
room or in their front room. Or I haven't been there, but I thought that was so cool of him.
Everybody's got a winery now.
Yeah, I know. It's the thing to do.
I can't drink. I'm allergic to alcohol. I have no concept of good wine.
Yeah. I've never been a big drinker. Just never got a taste for it. I mean, I like wine sometimes, but I probably haven't had alcohol in years for sure. I just don't drink very often.
Yeah, same. I'm in the same boat. When I have drink, you give me the fruitiest, frozenest drink ever, and I'm happy.
Wine cooler.
100%. If it's frozen, it's even better. Like, just put it in a popsicle, and I can't taste it.
Yeah.
I drink my alcohol like a 10-year-old has a popsicle.
Right.
But again, your art in general, we can get into a little more beyond the Tool stuff. I think we covered most of that stuff. Again, you're very respected in that community and done a lot of cool things. Again, I think you helped shape, the other artists too, but you're in there in the way that they're perceived artistically, at least visually.
I
So
hope I
thank you.
contributed. Oh yeah, my pleasure. Adam's really the artistic brains behind the visual look of the band, I think, and the videos
Sure.
and the album. I'm sure they all contribute, but I think he's well known for kind of being the band's art director, and he's great at it. So it's always nice working for someone that has really great taste and knows what looks good, because I've worked for a lot of people who didn't know what looked good and didn't have great artistic taste. And it's kind of a nightmare because you end up trying to tell them, let me do it this way. It looks way better. I have an eye for this and you don't. You have an eye for not
this.
Staying on budget and making sure that people aren't spending too much in the production, but you don't know anything about what looks good. And so if you just trust me, this will be amazing for your movie. And then you end up fighting with them and they're like, it's a nightmare. So anyway, it's always been really creatively rewarding working with Tool. And I appreciate the Tool fans. They've been very supportive of my work, even the non-Tool stuff, which I really appreciate. Really amazing people. I've made some great friends, and even found out a guy down the street, next city, like literally 5 minutes away from me. We've become friends. Just a super great dude. There's just so many great people in that scene that, man, I really appreciate it. And then when I meet them at shows or wherever, they're always super nice and cool to me. I haven't had a lot of the crazy people.
Oh, that's good.
I've heard stories, but all the ones I've met are just like fucking the coolest people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to transition more into what you touched on a minute ago is your work in movies and your departure from movies. You worked on a bunch of stuff in like the early mid 90s like to the early 2000s, right?
Yeah, I would say the late 80s to 2000. I think 2009 was the last full-time effects project I had. So it was from 86. I started a year after I graduated high school working on this. I was doing little independent things too, but I got a job on the Blob remake of the Blob movie, the 50s sci-fi
Yeah, I
movie.
remember it.
They did a remake in the 80s, and so that was my first big show. And then this guy Tony Gardner hired me, and I started out sweeping the floors and doing whatever, just because I didn't have any experience. But I had a lot of experience on my own. Prior to that, all throughout high school, I was sculpting and trying to teach myself, and I had a pretty good portfolio. And so by the end of the Blob, I was the key painter. I was the main painter. I sculpted some stuff. I keyed a few effects as well, my own little things. So he kind of let me grow in that role. And then I sort of became like the art director for his shop for 10 years. So I worked on like Darkman and
With Sam Raimi, right?
yeah, all kinds of
Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson was in that.
We did his makeup every day. And so we got to know Liam really well. He was a super great, really great person. Such a fun person.
I'm very curious on how that guy talks in a normal conversation. Is it the same cadence?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, when I hear him in movies, I don't think he sounds different here. But he's just super nice. He's like very friendly, or he was back then. I mean, I haven't talked to him since Darkman, but he was just such a cool guy and had a great sense of humor about everything. Going in makeup every day for 3 hours is not a fun experience,
and I'm trying to remember exactly how much you show in different parts of that movie, but most of the movie is like his face is fucked up, and then you wrap him up, right?
Yeah, he's got bandages on for the first part of it, and then he's revealed, and it's completely his whole body is burned, really, and you could see his burned hands, and he's got like one patch of skin that's not burned, and then the rest is just all like scarred and burned up.
So you work on Darkman. I think you did some stuff for like Jurassic Park, maybe a little bit after that.
I didn't work on Jurassic Park. That was Stan Winston Studios. I never worked at Stan Winston Studios.
I know you did. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it was just, Addams Family movies.
Oh.
So many weird little movies that I don't even remember. I mean, if you look at my IMDb, they'll probably be in there.
That's where I mistakenly did Jurassic Park for some reason. Somewhere it said Jurassic Park, and I was like, oh, you must have painted some stuff. My bad.
I wish I worked on Jurassic Park, man. People that worked on that made
a lot of money.
Bank, because the only union in effect, there's no effects in the union. There's no union for makeup effects people in the shop, and even the people that go on set. But there is a union for makeup artists, which there's crossover between effects and regular makeup artists, and puppeteers. So you can get in, and I got in the puppeteers union. So it was like kind of because when you're controlling something with radio controls to kind of like make the brows move or whatever from a mechanical head, that's considered a performance. So makeup effects people would often try and get into SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, through puppeteering, and so they get health insurance and any kind of benefits. And people that got in SAG, that puppeteered on Jurassic Park, made so much money that they were like buying homes and shit from their residual checks. Because when you work on a SAG production, you get paid. I mean, residuals. I get residuals still from Addams Family stuff I puppeteered and stuff like that. It's like, $20 or
sure.
I'll get like every quarter I'll maybe make a couple $100, but usually it's like I've gotten checks for 1 cent and stuff like that. But those guys on Jurassic Park, man, they were loaded after that. It was crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is your most notable movies, but it's the ones that I know you from are the Guillermo del Toro things. Hellboy. You did both Hellboys, right?
Yeah, I worked on, I mean, I was on the crew. I did I sculpted his right hand of doom, that stone hand. I sculpted that and I did a lot of painting. I helped sculpt the naked torso, Hellboy torso prosthetic, just some,
Ron Perlman's chest.
Yeah. I worked, that was mostly Matt Rose, but I came and helped, just detailing and stuff and painting the horns and just random stuff. And then in Hellboy 2, I did a lot of character design, and I sculpted the cathedral head and the Chamberlain, and also noticed. I didn't even know this was going to happen until I saw the movie. I did a character in the troll market, which was this kind of Siamese a guy with another person growing out of his chest. Because that got in the movie because the effects got split between our shop and I think some shop in Spain, and they created that effect, but I totally forgotten I had done it. I think it's on my website at chetzar.com, I think. But the design for it. Yeah, so that design got in.
So when I saw those movies, and I think those movies, the internet was a thing, but it isn't what it is today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I knew of your work, and then I seen those movies, and for some reason, I was like, this has all got to be Chet Zar. Like,
Guillermo's one of those people like Adam, where it's like we click so well. It's like we both have similar tastes. He's got a great eye. He's a great artist himself. And, so it's like with the Chamberlain, he was like, just make anything you want. I just need this character that's going to be like the right hand man to the king. So he was like, he said, make sure the actor can, it's glued down around his lips so the actor can read lines and talk. Other than that, just make anything you want. So I did this maquette, a design maquette with this weird long shaped head and kind of a regular mouth and then eyes up here. And I just thought this was a maquette design. I thought it was cool, but I didn't, usually you have to do a bunch of these designs in order to get something approved. And he saw it and he's like, yeah, let's do that. So then I got to just basically no revisions, I just got to, which is so rare in the business. I always tell people if all the people were like Guillermo or Adam, I probably wouldn't have left the industry because it was very creatively fulfilling and fun. But most people are not like them. Most people there's a lot of cool people in the business, but there's also just so much oversight from people.
Bureaucracy.
People that are the money people wanting some creative say in something that's a dumb idea, and then you have to do it even though it sucks.
It's, again, I make short films. I'm somewhat in the industry.
Cool.
I'm working on my first feature-length film right now.
Nice. I've always wanted to do that. It's been my dream since I was a little kid.
Same. And again, I've done different jobs in that industry. I went to film school and yada, yada, yada. And you run into these people who have a job, but they want a say in your job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like like you said, you have this very specific, amazing talent. And this person runs numbers. Run your numbers, Dick. Run your numbers, Dick. Like, let me do my job.
Yeah.
And it sucks because, again, they have influence and this and that. And again, I don't know how much this pertains, but there's some recent news. I don't know if you ever watched this show, but like they were bringing back Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, okay.
Show I enjoyed when I was a kid. They shot the whole thing and everything. And one executive was like, I didn't really like it. And they kill the entire show.
Yeah, I can't. I've had so many stories like that. That's really, one of the main reasons I wanted to get out of the business. It was a lot of things, but that was a big thing. Like some of those people that are like high powered, producers and people more like on the money side of things. I mean, some of them are like idiots, like not smart people, like people that are like, they're just not very smart. And it's like they want to have a say in the creative part of it because they don't they never get to do it, and they want to say like, I put my finger on that, I have my stamp on that. That was my idea. I mean, I've had literally people say, someone complimented something I was working on, and a person like that saying, "Oh yeah, I did that for a reason," when it was completely my design and they gave no input, but they're there to take the credit. It's just like it's like
weird
that.
Egos.
Yeah, it's terrible. And just like I said, one of the things that used to drive me crazy was when you're arguing to make the project better because you have a really cool idea and they're saying, no, make it like this because this thing made a lot of money. So we want it to look more like this character. You want the alien, you want something that is so amazing that it makes the whole movie famous. For the alien was like unlike anything, but nobody wants to
xenomorph.
Yeah. That was at the time. I remember when that movie came out, I was young enough to see it in the theater, and it was totally unlike anything ever in a movie. And it still is popular because it's such an amazing design. And that's because, they let Giger design it and it was based on his artwork. And it wasn't like they were trying to go, okay, what science fiction monster made a lot of money in the last 5 years? Okay, let's go with a design like that. And more often than not, that's the kind of stuff the non-creative executive types that are concerned about how much money the movie makes are throwing in. So you end up arguing with them and you're like, I'm trying to make your movie better, man. I'm trying to make this movie amazing for you. And you keep making me do something that's going to make it suck. And why am I doing this? This makes me feel like a crazy person.
I could just imagine somebody going to Ridley Scott and being like, E.T. was really big.
Yeah.
Why don't we make it more like E.T.? It's not nice enough.
It happens all the time, or it used to when I was in it anyway.
Well, you did great stuff on Hellboy.
Oh, thanks.
And again, you soon after, you said your last job was in 2009. Do you remember what that was? We don't have to touch on it if it was
it's Land of the Lost.
Okay, with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I was doing digital slee stacks, sculpting. That was actually, we were sculpting digitally for the first time at that shop, like sculpting slee stack suits over the scans of the actors' bodies. And then they had them 3D printed. And then I believe I don't remember how they did it. They 3D printed them and then they had them kind of like sculpted over a little bit. I don't remember. But I was there doing ZBrush stuff for them.
And the stuff you touched on earlier is the reason, this bureaucracy and these no talent executives trying to take credit for artistic work is what led you to want to leave. I know I heard a quote that I read somewhere that Clive Barker had a big, at least influenced you in some way to want to go directly into fine art and in the place that you're in now.
Yeah, that was amazing. It's such a huge boost to my confidence because I knew I wanted to.
He's a legend, first of all. If you're listening to this, you don't know Clive Barker. He wrote Hellraiser first, right?
Yeah.
Then he made the fucking movies himself.
Yeah.
And he just created this whole Cenobite universe and other things too.
Yeah, that's just one of his
things.
It's like if you look, he came out with in the beginning with, I think his first books were called The Books of Blood, and they were short stories. And I got them early from a book importer at some horror convention I was at. And I got, some guy recommended them and I read them and they were unbelievable. They're so good. If you ever get a chance to read any of the Books of Blood stuff, it's so amazing. And that's where Hellraiser was started. That was a short story in one of the Books of Blood. Anyway,
I'm sorry. What my favorite Clive Barker movie is?
What's that?
Midnight Meat Train.
Midnight? I don't think I've ever seen Midnight Meat Train.
Give it a shot. It's a quick 80 minutes, but it's
I know it bombed. It bombed when it came out.
I don't care.
I should watch it, but I read the story from the Books of Blood, and it was so good. The story was so amazing. Same with Lord of Illusions. Did you ever see that?
Mm-mm.
That's a pretty good movie, actually. Horror film, Lord of Illusions. I worked on that actually a little bit, but it's not nearly as good. The short story is just so cool. It's so cool.
And you're talking about the Book of Blood, and you said the Hellraiser character stems from that?
Yeah, that story, I think it was called The Hellbound Heart in the Books of Blood. It was a short story. I'm pretty sure. I know it was like a short story in some collection. I'm pretty sure it was in the Books of Blood, or maybe it was a novella or something. I don't know. I'm sure people know. It was a story first. Anyway, he's like a total genius. He's an amazing writer. He's written so much great stuff. And I met him on Lord of Illusions. We did stuff for Lord of Illusions, and he was working with our shop, and my boss, Tony Gardner, was like he wanted to do a toy line that was, a really cool line of monster toys that were kind of like collectible toys. Before that thing was really big, the collectible toy market was a big thing. It was just beginning. And it was like a circus. It was like a horror circus idea. And so we met up with him. I did some designs, and it just, for whatever reason, it didn't happen, as with so many things in the business. But I had somehow gotten his phone number. So I don't, things were different back then, I guess. But I like sent him. Anyway, so at that point in my career, I was like kind of looking for, Jurassic Park came out and the writing was on the wall that effects was not going to be around for long. I'm surprised it's still going, because I thought it would be completely dead at this point from CGI and stuff. But at that point, I was like, I needed kind of an exit plan. So I started doing 3D animation and digital stuff. That I was very interested in that. That's where Tool was using my, videos I was making. So I sent Clive a VHS, a video cassette of my demo and they were just like, it was the stuff that Tool was using and some other stuff that I had made that was loops. And I was like, I sent it to him, and I called him, and I was saying, I just said, do you have any work for me? Cause I'm doing digital stuff now. And I was thinking like some movie work or anything, just trying to hustle something up. And he said, no, we don't have anything like that for you, but I really feel like you have a strong vision, and you should think about becoming a fine artist, which was just like right out of high school. I was in this kind of industry service or not service industry, but like where you're doing a service for someone,
Sure.
doing a service for a film, even though it's artistic and there's art involved. I just had this mindset that what I do is work on other people's projects. So I never really thought about doing my own stuff, because my stepfather was an artist. So I watched how hard it was for him to make a living as an artist. So I kind of was like, that's crazy. I can't do that. It's not even an option. So I kind of put it out of my mind. And, but once Clive told me that, I was like, and I started thinking about it. And and then I decided, I was working on Planet of the Apes, and I thought, and I was sitting in the trailer, and I was like, I don't want to paint another fucking monkey gloves that are the paint rubbed off during the fight scene. And I'm sitting in there just like, stuff that the camera's not going to see. And it's just so tedious and boring. And you're on set for 12 hours and you're sitting there. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and paint a little painting to see if maybe I could be a painter, And so I'd never really tried it seriously. And so I painted this little painting on with the paints I had for the gorilla gloves, the chimp gloves. And it looked pretty good. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try this, because I just painted this and I think I can do this. And then I just went from there and started teaching myself to paint and trying to get in art shows and stuff like that.
That's pretty
and
wild.
Here I am today. Yeah.
That's pretty wild that Clive Barker could see like that on some level just from the work that you were doing.
Yeah.
Oh no, this guy has something. Not just like he's not just good at his craft. I could see a world of stuff, and
that was cool.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was that was pretty amazing. It really was a big deal to me. And when there was a documentary made about me, and I think it was 2013, and I hadn't talked to him in years. We asked him to get a blurb. We asked him to watch the movie, and he'd give us a quote, and he gave us this amazing quote. I forget what the quote was, but it's amazing. It was just so nice of him. He didn't benefit from it in any way. He's just very generous in that way. Really. Chet Zar's extraordinary paintings open an elevator shaft that delivers us down into a world of purest mystery and dread. I like to make monsters, which is the name of the movie, is an inspiring and important film about the artist as well as art itself. And he did that just to be cool, because he liked the movie, and he I guess liked me.
He does
An
like
awesome
you.
guy. He's a cool guy, man.
I love the way he speaks too. It's
Yeah.
speaks like you would think Clive Barker speaks if you like know his movies. There
He's
was
an
like
amazing painter too. I don't know if you knew that.
I did. I've seen so again, you, Geiger, Clive Barker, kind of all sit in the same space artistically as in my brain.
That's nice. That's nice. Good company.
Yeah. Let me. We're done with the movie stuff,
Okay.
but because you leave, you take a pivot after the stuff with Clive Barker, and you start doing, like you said, fine art paintings. Do you remember what that first painting was?
Yeah, it was that one in the trailer on Planet of the Apes, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, where I was painting the monkey gloves. That it was a small painting. I ended up selling it to my friend who I worked on the movie with for $100.
Do you remember what that painting was?
Yeah, it's called On because it was the first painting I ever did, and it's just a weird. It's hard to describe, like a weird floating head, mask-like head with like a hollow head with like horns kind of going in and out. It's really kind of strange, but
Trying to.
yeah, it's one of the guy I met through Tool, Dylan. He had it tattooed on his entire back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really.
Maybe later you can send me a photo of it or a reference.
Oh, okay.
Because I like to put up all the art we talk about and stuff. I put it up in the videos as we talk about it here and there.
Okay. I
So
found it right now if you want it.
Sure.
Or I could send it later. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we can send it later. So you start painting, you start crafting this universe Clive Barker said you had, and you believe that you have, I guess on some level, right? You dive in.
Yeah, I dive in. I didn't know what I was doing. I was kind of teaching myself as I went, but I had a strong foundational background in drawing and sculpting for the film industry and painting monster suits and monster masks and stuff like that. So I did have a certain level of color theory and just things you need to know to paint. And so I started kind of teaching myself to paint in oils and sort of was experimenting and getting in any shows, local art shows, or showing in coffee shops or wherever, any place that would have me, especially back then. There was not a dark art scene at all. And so it was kind of hard to get in. People were like, nobody was doing stuff like this back then. It was, of course there were, but it was not at all being represented in galleries at all.
So there wasn't a fine art, dark art type person.
No, there wasn't a dark art gal. I mean, there was people doing this stuff, I think, but not very many. There was Cam was doing one of the people doing it. There was a handful of other artists. Chris Mars was doing it. Michael Hussar, a bunch of there was a small group, but they were not getting gallery representation really. And so I was going to wherever they would show me, just get my feet wet, continue to teach myself to paint, show stuff, try and sell it. And then I kind of stumped. One of the experiments I did was this portrait of a monster portrait, like a head and shoulder portrait of, what was it called? Dunce. It was called Dunce. It's kind of like this cone-headed bald guy with no eyes.
Familiar with it.
And that sold immediately. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try and do more of these portraits. And then they kept selling. And then at Copro Gallery, Gary at Copro Gallery was one of the people that I think was buying them and liked them. And so he offered me a show. And so I just kept following this thing, until I got, here, I guess.
We touched on earlier that sometimes you have a clear idea of like what you're doing and sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Usually I don't.
In those early days, was it the same way where you're just
it was more so that way in the early days. I was just had all this pent up artistic energy from being like art directed on everything I was doing for the last 15 years or 20, however long I was in the business. It was all like art directed, where you're kind of someone else's hands and you're making something for someone else's project. And so I had all these, I've just felt like I wanted to do my own thing so bad. I just started painting with reckless abandon whenever it would come out.
What does that mean? You're just like, I'm going to draw a line and then go from there, or like throw some ink down and I'm very curious on how somebody just starts an idea without any idea what they're doing.
Yeah, you just start doodle. It's just like, when you're on the phone doodling, you're talking to someone and you start doodling. It's basically that. That's how I do it. I'll just start doodling. Sometimes you'll have an idea pops in your head and you're like, oh, that'd be cool. Let me draw it out. And then you just kind of develop it and you keep doodling it and messing around. Back then I was doing more like I remember the first time I sat down to paint when I was like, okay, I'm going to be a painter now. I'm going to do this thing. After I'd done that little painting, I had a canvas. I sat down. I had my easel. I just bought a new easel. I was all getting ready and I just sat there like, I have no idea what to do. It was like kind of shocking because it was like, I'm so used to having parameters given to me in the effects business. It's like design a werewolf or a sea creature or something with tentacles. You're given all these parameters on what to create. So it's easy to come up with different variations of all these parameters. So, but when you're sitting there, no one's telling you what to do and you just have this blank canvas. It could be anything. You could paint anything. And it's almost too hard to choose from. You have to kind of give yourself parameters in a way. So I would just throw paint on. I just start because I was getting a feel for the paint and learning color mixing and oils and mediums and all this stuff. So I would just kind of like start painting. It's weird. You just start painting and then you kind of recognize, oh, that looks kind of like a head or an eye. And then you just kind of keep following that and then developing it. And that's kind of the process, how it goes. It's like a lot of times I'll just start working with abstract shapes until they look like something that I think is worth following. And then you just kind of follow it and it leads you. You know what I mean?
Sure. I do not draw very well, and I've never tried painting, but I have done a similar thing where you're just kind of doodling and you're making circles and lines, and you're like, wait a
Mhm.
second, that looks like a weird eye, and then you
Yeah,
make it more of an eye. And you're
that's
like,
it.
well, if I could put a nose there,
Yeah.
and all right, maybe
And then
there's
you're like, no, that nose doesn't look right. Let me move the nose over here. Oh, that looks better. And that's how it goes. And then you just keep developing it until you have something that looks cool.
How many times have you like half drawn something or painted something and have to like start that same idea over, or do you just keep going?
I almost always keep going. I've rarely, only maybe a couple times I can think of, or probably a handful of times where I just like, this is not working. I'm going to put it away. I was always very determined. I don't know why, just to make it work no matter what. So I would
Like
just
that.
stick with it until it was something I was proud to show.
I really like that. I don't know why. It's just the perseverance of it.
Yeah.
You're
It's
gonna,
like a challenge,
yeah. Like you said earlier, in some arts, it's problem solving, right? You're
Yeah.
constantly problem solving until you problem solve yourself a great painting.
Yeah. It's like filmmaking too, or
Same.
any creative thing. It's like, it's a puzzle. The whole thing is like a puzzle game. You're like, I want this. How do I get from here to here? Okay, you got to do this, and then you got to do this, and you're like putting them all together so that it works in the end. And it's just like doing like a crossword puzzle or something. It really is.
I do creative things, and I never see myself as an artist. I see myself as somewhat of a technician, like you said, solving problems.
That's what an artist does, though.
Yeah.
You
Um,
know,
it's just hard for me personally. I'm like, no, I fix things. I
you're
put
making
things
movies,
together.
you're making
Yeah,
short films,
yeah.
then you're an artist.
I appreciate
That's
that.
that's what artists are, man.
I know we don't have a ton more time, and so I got a few more things I'd love to touch on. One quick one: how much of an influence is somebody like Lovecraft to you? Because
Yeah,
I see it, but sometimes he's not you have your own world, but he has a similar thing going on.
for sure, for sure. No, he's Lovecraft is like a huge influence for everyone who does dark art or horror related stuff. Just he was one of these early cosmic horror guys that created this whole idea of cosmic horror.
It's rad stuff. Cthulhu's a
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like these immense beings that are beyond time and space. And this stuff was really, this kind of cosmic dread stuff is very influential. I love that stuff.
And I kind of see your dystopia stuff as something very similar and not
Yeah.
derivative, just
I agree.
a different universe.
Well, yeah, that's what that was the result of just painting without thinking about it over 20 years or 15, however. There was a point where I realized, oh, there's this whole kind of other dimension that I've been painting, and the characters all look like they come from this dimension, and it seems like a world. So, but I hadn't planned on that. It was just what came out. And so that's why I recently published this book, Dystopia, which is a field guide to the whole universe and the characters.
It's literally going to be my next purchase.
Right.
I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it throughout time. Like since you put it out. Again, I follow you. Bought a few things here and there of your store.
Cool. Thank you.
But once you research a guy a little bit, then you're like, all right, God damn it. Now I got to have that. Yeah. I want to know about the entire universe now because I'm a very story driven person.
You'll love it. You'll love it. It's such a cool. Did you drop something there?
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry.
It really came out so well. I'm so happy with it. It's like 400 pages. It's huge. It's really thick. You could kill someone with it if you hit them over the head. It's like heavy. It's twice as long as I planned on it being because I screwed up while I was seeing the proofs. I was seeing them in Adobe Acrobat, and for every 2 pages, it says 1 page. So I was like looking it over and I kept just looking at the number. It's like, okay, we're going to hit 200 pages. That's the idea. I wanted to be a 200-page book. And then it was like, oh shit, there's 2 to a page. So these Adobe Acrobat pages, it's only half of what it is. It was so stupid. It ended up being like, but it was too good. I couldn't I just had to figure I got to figure out how am I going to pay for these extra 200 pages. And I just took out a loan, PayPal loan, and then fucking did it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But it ends up being, it's like a tome. It's really cool. It's like a kind of like a dungeon master guide in a way,
Sure.
to tell different characters. And
I've been getting in D&D lately.
Oh man, I haven't played since I was like 13 or 14, but I used to love that.
We should start a game.
Yeah,
an online game.
That's the thing though. It's like I have to. That's like my son plays video games, and he's always telling me I don't play video games or anything because I'm just like constantly having to work.
I know,
because it's so hard to make a living just doing art, and it's like I would love to do shit like that or get back into music, or there's so many things I would like to do, but I just have to hustle constantly because it's hard to make a living.
I recently I've been a chef for my whole career, 15 some odd years.
Nice.
I recently quit my job.
Wow.
To produce, to figure out an avenue within whatever the fuck this is.
Yeah.
So I really respect, again, you leaving the movie industry to figure out what you're, doing. I respect it. I'm trying to do the same thing.
I appreciate it. It's hard, but it can be done. It's just, you have to basically work just constantly and be smart about social media. Like I got this podcast that's been going on for 6 years. Dark Art Society. And, last couple of years I put it on YouTube and I started doing, before it was audio only, started during the pandemic. And I just interview dark artists and occult people and just people in this whole scene. I've just recently started doing all the promotional stuff on Instagram and putting clips. And it's like, it's starting to take off finally because I'm doing all of these things I didn't want to do, like make little short clip videos and promote every day and stuff. And it's like, you got to do all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's a huge part of it. It's not easy, but it's a huge part of it.
Maybe after the interview's done, we can talk about some specifics on that because I have some pointers maybe, and then I'd love to hear some on your end as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So you do the Dystopia. Obviously, quick question in there. I'd love to know more about the number 5.
It's in the documentary. If you have a DVD player, you can get it at chetzar.bigcartel.com. But enough. I will tell you. I'll tell you.
I know about it, but for the show's sake of people that may not know,
okay.
I sometimes ask questions I already know answers to.
Okay, I get you. It's basically, it's like, the quick answer for normal people is it's my lucky number. The real answer is that it's a spiritual number.
Yeah.
That
spiritual identification number.
Yes. Yeah. Spiritual ID number. That's a perfect way to put it. It just comes out of this period of my life when I was 18 And I tried psychedelics for the first time with all the proper intentions of trying to get some kind of spiritual, mystical experience. Like I was not a partier or any of that stuff at all, but I was like, I wasn't interested in spirituality and mysticism and stuff. And so I had these major mystical experiences. And the 5 was what kind of came out of that experience as sort of to represent me spiritually. So I always just put it in.
So what does the 5 mean to you specifically? The quickest you can, other than it being a spiritual identification number, because I have one too.
Oh, okay.
22 has just been around forever for me. Like
Right.
it's everywhere.
Yep.
And I have trouble explaining it to be. I have had shirts made from that just say 222, and people are like, what is it? And I'm like, oh, it's just the number for me.
Right.
So I don't know if it's hard for you to explain or if it's the same type of thing.
I can explain it. It is like that, but the reason I put it in paintings, it was sort of like I had these spiritual revelations. I had these kind of major spiritual revelations and felt like I don't know. It was sort of like a call to be good, to be a force of good in the world. That's what it felt like. And so I put them in my paintings so that I never forget. I got a tattoo of it. And it's almost like I don't want to ever forget that.
I really like that.
Why I'm here, is to try and be a positive force in the world. And I think we're all here for that reason, probably. Or some people, maybe not so much.
Yeah, maybe not.
Some people are meant to be the adversary to help us grow. But so it's kind of just like I just always put it in there as a reminder to myself why I'm doing this stuff ultimately,
Well, I read somewhere, and I'm probably quoting it wrong, but I don't know if it was you or somebody else was describing your art, and though it is dark, it's more about facing facing those grotesque and scary things to become better, as opposed to just I want to make cool monsters or I want to make things that look fucked up. It's a way to, it's shadow work.
Yeah. And it's like the honest thing is, like, I've been drawing monsters since I was a little kid. I've just always been attracted to that. I think it is fun and cool. And I think that as a child, I probably was doing that as a way of trying to gain some sense of mastery over scary things in the world. And I continued to paint as an adult like that because that was my first love and it resonated with me. And after doing it for a while, I kind of realized that dark art is kind of like a type of inoculation against fear, or a kind of a way of externalizing fears in order to deal with them in a safe way, and everyone's got fear. Everyone fears death. Most people fear death. So it's a way of engaging with your fears. It's like you're saying, shadow work. But it's like, to me, it's like a technology almost to engage with anxiety and fear in order to integrate it more into your more healthy way into your life. Because the real people that end up like serial killers are not the people that are integrating their darkness. They're trying to push their darkness down, and it comes out in these horrible ways. They're trying to deny that they have it, and it's like,
they just get drunk and eat people.
Yeah. So the healthy thing is to engage in it in a healthy way and integrate it, because we all have this in us, because life is scary.
If Jeffrey Dahmer might have done some paintings, maybe when eating so many people.
Or Hitler should have kept painting.
Yeah, exactly. I know I don't have you for too much time, and we started a little bit.
I'm good for another, 15 minutes or something.
Yeah. I want to touch on AI because I think you've been a big advocate on A. Fuck the algorithm. And B, again, if I had to guess, I would say, and I don't know this for sure, but I would say it's pretty hard to replicate your art. Like, if not replicate, what I mean is, like, for AI to do something that looks like yours, it'd be you'd catch it, is what I mean. Like, because you have such a distinct style. I'm just curious on your thoughts about AI. And I've since when I first started this podcast, and I didn't know that much about art. I dabbled in it. It was very new. And then you quickly find out like the downfalls and the moral apprehension that comes with it. And you have to, in my opinion, if you're talking to artists and or appreciate art, you have to kind of take a step back and go and be like, all right, that's not good.
Yeah.
But
I got the same feelings. I think as a replacement for artists, it's really, it can produce some really cool results. I've seen certain artists do pretty amazing stuff with it, but there's something about as soon as I know that it's AI, it's like, it's not as cool to me anymore. I don't know. It's like I'm viewing from a fine art perspective, and part of what makes fine art special is that it's created by a person. I think there's this. The thing is that there's amazing potential for it. Aside from the moral issues where they scraped everyone's information without permission, which is totally fucked up. Aside, there's potential to have really amazing, helpful tools to help you automate things that you don't like doing. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that it can do in that way. But as like a replacement for music, and it's like I'm just not interested in hearing AI music. When I hear a song I like, I look into the band and I start learning about the band, and that makes the song cooler. And then I listen to more of their music because I'm interested in people creating artwork and their motivations and whatever. I like their history. And it's like people are into fine art as well, or, you're buying a piece of the artist when you buy a piece of fine art. It's not just about the image. It's like, I've heard it said that, Van Gogh, Picasso, but I mean, how many Picasso paintings can you name? It's not the images that it's like the name of the artist and the artist's story that you really know.
So your Tool poster is in my living room, the one with the eyelid and you have your little painting on there, and it's one of the ones people that come over to my house, and my house looks like a museum, kind of like
Cool.
the back here. This is just my office. It's my whole house.
Cool.
But yours is one that comes up often, and I always get so excited because I'm like, no, Chet Zar, he worked in this, he worked in that, he did this. Yeah, this creature in Hellboy that everybody loves, or like this style of thing,
Yeah, and that makes the art so much more interesting. I think.
It's not just like this cool picture. It's this whole guy on, that they can speak about that I enjoy and I appreciate, and not trying to blow too much smoke, but genuinely respect as a human being.
I appreciate it.
Like you said, it's not just this image, it's everything that's been put into it, everything that's been put into the song, everything that's been put into whatever.
Yeah. And it's like,
and AI can't replicate that.
No, never. Even if they get a robot that paints, it just will not be the same. It will not be the same because, I mean, I just have to, as a fan myself, I'm a huge fan of music and a huge fan of art. I'm just not at all interested in, maybe for casual people who don't care and they're not that into it, they might like listening to AI music and looking at AI art, but it's like, who cares about them? They're not people I'm interested in anyway. I'm interested in people that love what I do, and that's it. Everyone else, they can look if they want, but I'm not like really doing anything for those people. Like I'm here if you're interested, but I'm not going to be like trying to satisfy the masses. It's like a niche type of artwork for specific people that like that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And not only that, it's like, there's no value for me to, all right, so an AI image may look cool, but again, what's the value of purchasing that? If I can just go recreate it in AI myself,
Right.
and or there's, again, like you said, there's no history. It's not the type of thing that I would like to invest in, and the money doesn't go anywhere. Who's the money going to? The guy that created the AI? Fuck that guy. I don't know. It's just some dude in fucking Silicon Valley. Fuck that guy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of people are talking about like UBI. It's going to take away all the jobs. So there needs to be UBI, universal, what is it? It's basic income, universal basic income, where everyone just gets a check. It's like, there probably should be UBI, and those fuckers should pay. Free healthcare. But those fuckers should pay the UBI because they're making billions of dollars off of this technology, off of our backs.
And they're stealing our water.
Yeah, they're stealing our water. Then they're going to take our jobs away. So it's like, you know what? That should be, you can still be rich and probably supply UBI for the whole country. These AI companies are so big. So it's like, it shouldn't be the government paying it. It should be those fucking people that are taking the jobs away. You know what I mean?
100% agree.
But anyway, I feel like in a way, fine artists or real artists that are creating work, bands like Tool, there's not going to be a AI version of Tool that anyone's going to give a fuck about ever. It's not going to happen. Maybe as a novelty, you might want to hear a song because they make albums every 10 years. So you might want to get some extra. What would if Tool made a disco song or whatever? It's just a novelty though. It's nothing serious. So I kind of feel like real creative work will not be overtaken by AI because people want the real thing. And if anything, I feel like people who do like physical paintings that you can hold and look at and see the brushstrokes that were touched by a hand of an artist and created from nothing, those are going to have even more value because everything is going to be like fake AI shit everywhere. Or the band that you could see on live on stage perform. You cannot fake that. And that's important and what's valuable is the real thing.
There's a movie I really like starring Ethan Hawke called Daybreakers.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a vampire movie.
I'm sure if it's a vampire movie, I saw it. I'm going to write it down though.
Super cool movie, super dark, bloody.
It's old, right?
15 years or so.
Okay.
Maybe the whole premise, it always related to AI to me because the whole thing is the vampires have taken over the world and they're running out of blood. So they're like,
that's a cool idea.
They're trying to synthesize blood and like real humans are on the run and they do it. But there's this like group of people and there's this whole speech about how we're always going to want the real thing. And I always relate that to AI too. It doesn't matter how much synthesized shit is out there or created. People are always going to want the real thing. I'm always going to want to watch Paul Thomas Anderson Tarantino movies because they're fucking awesome. And I'm always going to want to see art from you.
Or hear music from Tool or...
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's mostly, I don't know. I'm very torn about it. I feel, because it's like, I know people who are learning AI, friends of mine that are like learning how to build AI agents, they call them.
Yeah.
And it's been explained to me the potential, and it's amazing. It is amazing what they can do as a tool to help. Like, for example,
do your social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. Even though that is also questionable because people want real connection on social media. So it's like they want to know that you're trying to talk to them and it's real. It's like the accounts where it's just all AI generated. You could see them like a Zen master. There's one of like this Zen master, and they just shit out videos about spiritual stuff. And it's like, I hate it. Because it's like, it's icky. But I forgot what I was going to say now.
Nah, it's just icky. I got a couple of last questions. Go ahead.
Real quick. This guy explained to me, like, imagine you're a writer and you're trying to write a historical book about the Civil War or something. You can get like 50 books on the Civil War in PDF form, feed it into the AI agent, and then you could ask the AI agent anything about the Civil War and it will tell you. So it's like stuff like that. That's extremely valuable because you don't have to read
it for you.
Oh, okay. How's that?
No, I brought up all your websites. I brought up everything.
Yeah, right.
I brought up and I asked it okay, go through all these websites, look at any article that Chet Zar has ever done and make sure I'm not, which was even funny that I messed up Jurassic Park, but
that's it's another problem with it is it gives you wrong answers.
Sometimes,
but just the idea that you could build a custom agent and feed it only information that all your sources and then ask it anything and it will cite them for you for stuff like that. It's like totally amazing. But for replacing art or music, it's not going to do it. And it shouldn't, I don't know. It's just not cool.
I agree. I have my last 5 questions I asked every guest, and I'm going to do that right now.
Okay.
What's inspiring you right now? What's something recently that's been inspiring?
Angine de Petron, Angine. Those two Quebec musicians with the polka dots. The two,
I don't know.
I'm sure you haven't seen this. It's gone viral. It's they have like masks on. One has like a long nose, and then the other he's got like this angine. I think it means angina. Like that.
Like when your heart's fucked up.
Yeah, angine de poitrine, I believe. If you haven't seen it, it's so fucking amazing. It's just these two guys. The guy's got a double-necked guitar and bass, like a bass with a guitar, and he's got a looping pedal. So he'll start off with a bass riff and then switch to guitar while the loop keeps the bass going. And then he keeps layering them, and they're just like weirdo, like Primus meets. It's all instrumental. I'll send you a link. It's
like
so
animals as leaders type shit, or like, is it crazy technical and like?
Yeah. It's super like proggy and mathy, but just like really groovy and just amazing. And so it's the most original, unique thing I've seen in so long, and it's really gone viral. And so they're getting they're selling out shows and stuff now. That's probably the most inspiring thing I've seen in a long time. I'm very excited about it.
What's one thing people misunderstand about your work?
I don't know. I think they might think I don't know. You'd have to ask them. I think people tend to think it's more serious than it is, maybe. I feel like there's a lot of humor in the artwork that doesn't always come out, or people don't quite,
I see it.
Yeah, it's like, I like humor. I have pretty good sense of humor, and I love funny stuff. And it's like, I'm always like kind of laughing at most of the stuff I paint. I'm always kind of like chuckling. Like, that's kind of a funny face there. It's not like I guess people thinking it's more I'm like painting evil stuff, which that's valid as well. Paint something that's very evil. It's like that could be fun and interesting, but generally it's stuff that amuses me, maybe.
Do you have any rituals like before you start painting or doing creative stuff?
You know what? I do. And that is, I have to find something good on YouTube or a movie. I always put a movie on, usually Dawn of the Dead or something, zombie, one of his favorite old horror movies I grew up with that I love, that I can recite every line from. I was speaking of Paul Thomas Anderson, I was had Boogie Nights on the other night while I was painting, because I fucking love that movie. As someone who grew up in the 70s, that movie so captures the 70s better than any movie I've ever seen. It was like that in the summer. I mean, not in the porn world, of course, but like just
in general
vibe of the clothing and the fashion and just the feeling of like when they're having these pool parties. I'm like, man, that really. So anyway, so yeah, I always put a movie on. That's my thing. And it's like, I don't watch it really. I'll kind of look off to the side sometimes, but it occupies part of my brain, so I can like totally focus this other part of my creative brain on the painting. And it's hard to describe. It's like, doesn't work for if I'm writing. If I'm writing, I can't listen to people talking, or I can't even listen to things with words, music with words. But with painting, I can totally I prefer to have some kind of movie on, because I love movies. I'm like a huge movie nerd.
Same. I have a movie podcast too. You should come on that as well.
Oh yeah, I would love to, man. I've worked in that business for a long time. I've worked on like Happy Gilmore and all this.
Fucking love that movie.
Cabin Boy.
I love that movie too. What is his name? Chris? What? In the boat?
Chris Elliott.
Yeah, Chris
Elliott. I worked
Elliott.
on Something About Mary. I worked on that. All these things you'd never thought I worked on, but yeah, I'll come on.
I think Adam said, there's a line in Happy Gilmore that I think is the funniest line in any movie ever.
What?
Where he's like, I got kicked off the tour. Why? Because you're black? No, damn alligator bit my hand off. Oh my God. I don't know why.
I worked on that alligator. That's what we did on it.
That's hilarious. You did one-eyed alligator?
I don't remember. I just remember, I don't know, I painted it or sculpted on it. I don't remember. It was so long ago, but I remember if we worked on it.
I mean, you 10 times cooler.
Ace Ventura. I worked on the Ace Ventura movies, a couple of those. Anyway, it'll be good for that movie podcast.
I heard there was a rumor that you were somewhat, or at least on the team that worked on the original Scream mask.
Yeah, that was the company I worked at, that original effects company. he started a Halloween mask company. And then me and this guy, Lauren Githens, and my wife, and I don't know who else was involved, maybe his wife. But we all kind of started this side business of Halloween masks. And this guy, Lauren, one year made basically the Scream mask. And he made it out of vacuum form plastic. And then he put a regular sheet. So it was kind of like a classic ghost costume.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put that out as a product, and it was called a Ghost Maker. And it was a vacuum form, that basically the Scream mask and like 4 other designs, but it was the Scream mask, and you cut it out, you painted it yourself, and then you cut a sheet out and glued the sheet on. That was the thing. That was the product. Then we went to a Halloween trade show. Then Fun World, I think it was Fun World, stole our idea. Next year we saw that mask as a standalone rubber mask, same design exactly with a black hood. And then that design they used in Scream. And so it was like, this guy, Lauren Githens, made it for a Halloween party, and then
didn't get the credit for it. Because I heard a whole thing about the Fun World is what it called, right? How Harvey Weinstein or whatever, not Harvey Weinstein, the other one, went to some party and saw the white version, the original version.
Oh yeah.
Of the mask, and then
maybe that's the one that we made, I guess.
And then he went somewhere and found the other ones because he was looking for it again, and then they didn't want to get the rights to it, so they made a shit ton of other masks that were similar, and it just didn't work. And finally, Wes Craven was just like, get the rights to this fucking thing so we can have it in the movie. And they did. They ended up paying that other company a bunch of money to use that in all of these movies.
So crazy. And it's just an artist got screwed again. I read something that maybe my boss is trying to sue for that, and he should, because it was not, I never, honestly, I didn't like that character. I didn't like the Scream movies at all. It's like, I know people that I just was like, this is not scary to me. I didn't like it.
I don't think it's that scary.
I didn't think the killer was scary. I'm not like a big killer guy. I'm more like supernatural horror type of guy. So maybe that's it. But I just like the voice on the phone in the first one. It didn't sound scary or creepy to me. It's just, I'm really anal about stuff like that. Like,
well, if it doesn't sound like resentment too.
Maybe. But still, it's like, I notice things that I'm like one of these super movie nerds. Like, I notice sound editing. And if it doesn't sound like someone's on a phone, like I just watched Licorice Pizza the other night, and it's like when they talked on the phone, it sounded like the other person was on an old 70s phone. And when they have it to where it's like recorded in the studio and they try and, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm nitpicky in that way about movies. It's like, nothing can take me out of it if you're doing your job right.
It's part of the, what is it? Suspension of reality. And if you're not doing some of those things, then it'll take you right out of the movie real quick.
And I really appreciate when they nail that stuff,
The last one. What's the best advice anyone ever gave you? And what advice would you give to somebody else that is trying to be creative?
Okay, you're going to give me the hardest one. Let me think.
Of course. Start with what's the best advice anybody ever gave you? I mean, you maybe have touched on it with Clive Barker. Maybe there's something else.
That's probably the best advice anyone ever gave me. If I was going to like pick one, that was probably Clive Barker saying that.
Exactly. What did he say?
He said, we don't have any work for you, but I really think you should consider being a fine artist, because I think you really have a vision, which is the first time anybody ever said that to me. So it was really like, whoa. When Clive Barker tells you something like that, you listen.
Yeah.
And I did.
And then what advice would you give to others that are trying to be creative or would like to go down that route? And I this is a completely selfish question because I am trying to do that.
I would say now it's never been a better time because everything is so fucked up. It's like you can't depend on anything anymore. Everything's totally fucked up. There's never been a better time to just fucking go for it and risk everything, because there's nothing really to hold on to anyway. Pensions are hardly a thing anymore. Mm-hmm. Jobs with insurance, 40-hour week, decent jobs, they've taken so much away that it's kind of the best time to just say, fuck it, I'm going to make this happen. And I would just say, if you're prepared to put the work in, you can do it. You just have to work hard. So if you're not a person that enjoys working hard, like I like to work when it's stuff I like. When it's stuff I'll work fucking 24 hours a day on stuff I'm really psyched about, like artwork and stuff. And even the podcast, it's like I want to see that podcast succeed. So I put as much energy as I can into it. And I work 7 days a week. I don't take a day off. I never take a day off. And my dad was like that too. He painted every single day.
James was his name, correct?
James Zar, yeah. And he painted up until the day he died. He was just all about it. And so if you're willing to dedicate your life to it, you can make it happen. You can definitely make it happen. You just gotta do it. You just gotta do it and put the work in and don't give up. That's the hard part. Don't give up because, every so often, even me having done this for 20 years, there's times where I'm like, fuck, what did I do? Why did I do this? It's too hard. This is too hard. I need money. There's like nothing selling this month. It gets like that. And you just have to power through it and throw stuff on credit cards or whatever you can. You just have to make it work. And so, but you can do it. You can do it. I know a lot of people who are doing it. It's just, just put the work in, make some sacrifices.
It's great advice. The only thing left to do is tell people what you're working on now, tell them where they can find you, and what you got coming up in the Chet Zar universe.
Okay, I've got, like I said, I've got these Jason Friday the 13th studies available on anyone in the web store right now. Little studies on sale. My web store is chetzar.bigcartel.com. I've got just tons of prints. I've got a lot of the prints of the Tool posters, of the images for the Tool posters I did, all kinds of stuff, sculptures of those. I'm working on something related to those, 3-dimensionally, I'll say. I won't give away too much, but that's coming from the poster characters. I'm working on something that's going to be super cool coming up. I have a website, chetzar.com. It's not too fancy. I have to redo it. It's just kind of a portfolio site. My Instagram is where I'm most active, which is at Chetzar, one word, CHETZAR. And I've got a Patreon, which is where all the action is for my art. It's like I'm posting every day whenever I paint something at the end of the day, I post it on Patreon like I used to on Instagram. And it's only $1 a month. And there's different tiers. And I've got painting videos on there and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of
Yeah, and you usually get first dibs at some of your stuff too when you're on Patreon.
Yeah, first dibs for all the new work I'm creating and stuff. And that's patreon.com/chetzar, one word. And yeah, so that's, if you're really interested in my work, that's where I would love to have you. This is where all my attention's going. And I have a podcast called the Dark Art Society Podcast that comes out pretty much every week. And I interviewed people in the dark art community, different creative people in like this esoteric and occult world, spirituality, paranormal, stuff like that, all kind of dark art related. And that's on YouTube every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. And we have a Patreon for that, patreon.com/Dark Art Society as well. And that's only $1. Got YouTube memberships going if you want to support. It's a really good podcast. I don't know if you've listened to it, but
I've listened to a few. Yeah.
The artists on there are so interesting, I find. And it's just like, I just, every time I do an interview, I'm like, man, this is such a great, it's not me. It's like them. They're so great. Yeah. All these artists I get, they're so interesting. So, and that's, if you're an audio podcast person, you can get it on Spotify or iTunes or whatever also. But we've got the video version of it on YouTube.
We have a similar vein, I think. I'm not specifically geared towards dark art, but yeah, I've talked to Mike Gamble and I've talked to a couple of the people that Ben Connellan is a good friend of mine from Australia.
Yeah, he's been on the show.
Yeah, so I really enjoy all those guys too. And I really enjoy you. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast and spending some time with me. And we went a little longer than normal, but I think you were worth it.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate it.
And again, go buy his stuff. Buy real art.
Yes, please. Chetzar.bigcartel.com.
Yeah,
thank you for listening. Give me 2 minutes after we stop.
Spiral Out Podcast is edited, mixed, recorded, hosted, and everything by me, your host, Kris West. Follow us on all the social medias at spiral_out_pod. or Spiral Out Pod. Just Google us at Spiral Out Podcast. You'll find us if you really want to. And then check out some of the photos I've been doing for concerts. I've been shooting a lot of big bands at spiralout_photo. Thank you for listening. Spiral Out and such.